What I want to get into is detail. You know, I talked a lot this year about Amazon, AWS, Bedrock, what's being offered. Now that the year's coming to a close, Mai-Lan, what is the one thing that most customers have come to you and asked for?
Customers all over the world, as you know, are looking to deploy generative AI at scale, but they want to do it responsibly. They want to do it safely. And so that really comes down to your data. What is the data driving your business today, and how can you put that data to work? As well as how can you do it securely, responsibly, by default? And that is just top of mind for CEOs all over the world, no matter what industry they're in.
But is that specifically them saying, okay, we want to use Bedrock because we can access all kinds of third-party models, or because it's a place they can build their own?
I think the first reason why customers come to Amazon Bedrock is about choice. There's not going to be one model that every single customer is going to use. In fact, what we're seeing that customers are doing today is they're actually using a lot of different models for different purposes. I'll give you an example. Adobe launched Generative Fill in Photoshop back in May. And Generative Fill is enormously popular with creatives. It's actually the most used feature of Photoshop. In fact, it's been adopted 10 times faster than any other feature in Photoshop history. And Adobe built that on AWS, and they built it using a variety of different models, large language models and foundation models, one of which they built themselves. And so when customers come and they use Amazon Bedrock, they're coming to Amazon Bedrock for choice. The ability to use the latest large language and foundation models. The ones that we added just recently are Anthropic's Claude 2.1, as well as Meta's Llama 2, and be able to take those leading models and use the tooling in Amazon Bedrock to deploy generative AI applications really quickly and securely on, as you say, Ed, their own custom data, their data sets that are at work today for their enterprises.
How price sensitive are these customers at the moment, Mai-Lan? Because we enter this period of AI exuberance at a time of economic realities where companies need to cut costs in many ways.
Well, I think cost is always going to be front and center of any large-scale deployment. And that's what customers are really trying to do with generative AI. They're trying to use generative AI not just to transform their customer experiences. For example, Intuit, which has over 100 million small business and consumer customers today, Intuit rolled out something called Assist in all of their Intuit portfolio. So if you're using QuickBooks, you can use Assist. If you're turning your mind to taxes right after the holiday season with TurboTax, you can use Assist. And when you have customers that want to transform their customer experiences or use it to improve their internal productivity, they're going to think about cost. And I think that is one of the reasons why, you know, when we build our generative AI capabilities, we're also building at all of our three layers, the foundational layer, that middle layer that we call Amazon Bedrock, which is the managed AI services. And we're building capabilities called like EC2 capacity blocks. And EC2 capacity blocks work much the way that you reserve a hotel room with different beds, except with EC2 capacity blocks, you're reserving GPUs. You're reserving hundreds of GPUs for when you need it in the future. And then once you're done using it, you can dial all those GPUs back because you want to save on cost.
Mai-Lan, I know you're a thoughtful person when it comes to ultimately humanity at the same time as working within technology. You're someone who thinks a lot about Asians at Amazon. You're sponsoring women within technology. And therefore, I'm sure you're thinking about the implications of AI more broadly. And to that end, when you are thinking about companies cutting costs, how do you feel about the fact that we're going to either be augmenting humanity or indeed perhaps putting a few out of jobs? Is that something that you talk about a lot within the business?
Well, you know, I think the world wants to be responsible in how we're using AI. For me personally, Caroline, I'm very excited about generative AI because for me, it levels the playing field for data literacy. It brings everybody, as it were, to the data table. Today, you know, if you think about it, the way we make sense of our world is often with numbers, and we use spreadsheets and we use data queries, but there's a lot of people out there who don't have exposure to those technologies early on. And with generative AI, you can take a query and you can turn it into a question, a spoken question, and then to a spoken conversation. And so for me, I am very excited about the idea of generative AI rolling out, kind of unleashing the human potential that is everywhere by making this the native intelligence of people and unlocking that, frankly, with the data using generative AI. Now, in order to do this at scale, AWS is all about being at scale. We've been doing AWS cloud services now for just about 18 years. We have to be able to do it responsibly. We have to be able to do it in a way where, one of the top 3 data challenges that, I hear from customers when I talk to them is, how can I be my own best auditor today? This is a major initiative right now, right? Like, the world of regulation has not yet arrived at generative AI, but you know it will. You know it will. And so what we do is we try to think about, how can we build that capability, that audit trail, into our AWS managed AI solutions like Amazon Bedrock by default. So if you're using Amazon Bedrock, as over 10,000 customers are, you are able to get an audit trail for not just your user interactions with the model, but also how is the model making decisions. And that audit trail is logged and available for your use for any type of compliance you need. And it's using the same services that customers like FINRA use. They use AWS CloudTrail, which is for audit logging, and they use it for their own compliance. That is built by default into Amazon Bedrock because we know the world wants to be responsible, but Caroline, it's one thing to want to be responsible. It's another thing to be responsible once or twice, but it's the third thing, it's next level to be responsible by default, to be responsible in an automated way. And that's what we're building into our AI services.
Mai-Lan, last month, Adam joined me on the program to talk about next-gen Trainium, Trainium 2, but also the deeper relationship with NVIDIA. In the 3 weeks that have followed, can you give us any granular detail on how selective customers have been and how deeply they think about which silicon their workloads are being trained on?
Well, fundamentally, customers want choice. And for us, we've had over 13 years of a deep partnership with NVIDIA, which is going to continue into the next year. We've announced how the NVIDIA Grace Hopper Superchip is going to be offered through AWS. It's going to be integrated with our AWS Nitro security and virtualization system. But customers are about choice, and we have been building our own custom silicon now since 2018. We have 4 generations of Graviton chips. We have 2 generations of inference and machine learning chips as well. And so our goal is to give AWS customers whatever choice they want, whether it's using our partnership that we've had with NVIDIA for their choices, or to use our custom silicon, which we think gives the best price for performance, as well as the right energy savings, energy efficiency that we know the world wants as well.